Have you ever noticed how the most powerful person in the room speaks the least? You make a decision. Someone questions it. Instantly, you feel a tightening in your chest. You open your mouth. You start to justify, to explain, to defend your stance. And in that exact moment, you lose. You hand over your crown. You step down from your throne of self-respect. The greatest paradox of human communication is this. The more words you use to defend your choices, the less respect you command. You believe that if you just find the right words, they will finally understand you. They will validate you. But they do not. They only see a man begging for permission to be himself. Welcome to the elite minority. You are watching this because you are tired of the constant mental drain. You are ready to stop playing a rigged game. By the end of this session, you will understand exactly why your need to explain yourself is the very habit destroying your personal power. More importantly, you will learn how to weaponize silence. Are you ready to stop apologizing for your existence? Let me know in the comments if you have ever felt the exhaustion of constantly justifying your actions. Let us begin. Let us look at the modern landscape. We live in an era where everyone demands a piece of your mind. Social media, the corporate workplace, even your intimate relationships are designed to keep you on the defensive. They want to know why you wake up early, why you do not drink, why you ended that relationship, why you walked away from a bad deal. Society has conditioned you to be a perpetual defendant in the courtroom of public opinion. We are taught a dangerous lie from childhood, that being a good man means being transparent, accommodating, and always ready with a logical breakdown of our choices. We are trained to believe that an unexplained action is an offensive action. But this is a trap. The world does not want to understand you, it wants to control you. Every time someone asks why with a tone of judgment, they are not seeking information. They are testing your frame. They are checking to see if your internal foundation is solid or if it can be shaken by a simple question. The modern Stoic recognizes this invisible battlefield. He understands that his energy is his most valuable asset, and he refuses to bleed it out in pointless debates. You are facing a crisis of boundaries, and the only cure is a radical shift in how you view your own authority. The psychology of the defensive mind. Why do you feel the immediate itch to explain yourself? Let us break down the psychology. It is a remnant of your childhood. When you were a boy, you had to explain your actions to your parents, your teachers, and authority figures to avoid punishment. You had to prove your innocence, but you are no longer a boy. Yet, the moment someone challenges you, your brain reverts to that state of powerlessness. You unconsciously elevate the other person to the role of the parent or the judge. You shrink. You offer up your reasons like a tribute, hoping they will grant you grace. This is the death of masculine respect. The strong man recognizes this mental glitch and overrides it. He understands that as a fully formed adult, his decisions require no external audit. When you catch yourself preparing a defense for a choice that harms no one, pause. Recognize the ghost of the boy trying to speak through the man. Silence that ghost. You owe no one a thesis on your existence. The hierarchy of frame control. In any interaction, there is a dominant psychological frame. The frame is the underlying reality that governs the conversation. When you make a statement and someone says, "Why would you do that?" they are attempting to pull you into their frame. If you answer, If you start justifying, you have accepted their premise. You have agreed that your action needs their approval. You have submitted. Frame control is not about being loud or aggressive. It is about an immovable internal certainty. Kings do not explain their decrees to peasants. A leader states his direction. If you want to maintain intellectual superiority and emotional stability, you must refuse to enter frames where you are positioned as the defendant. When challenged, a simple, "because I decided to," or remaining entirely silent, asserts a frame of absolute dominance. It forces them to deal with your reality, rather than you begging them to accept yours. The illusion of rational persuasion. You operate under a massive, exhausting delusion. You believe that people are logical creatures. You think that if you lay out your reasons point by point, from A to B to C, the other person will nod and say, "Ah, I understand now. You are right." This happens exactly 0% of the time. When people challenge your life choices, your boundaries, or your values, they are not operating on logic. They are operating on emotion, insecurity, and their own worldview. Your brilliant, logical explanation is wasted breath. It is like trying to pour pure water into a toxic swamp and expecting the swamp to turn clean. Instead of changing their mind, your over-explaining simply gives them ammunition. They will find a flaw in your logic, twist your words, and use your explanation against you. The Stoic mind knows that trying to control another person's perception through words is a fool's errand. Let go of the need to be rationally understood. It is a phantom goal. The boundary that needs no blueprint. A boundary with an explanation is a negotiation. A boundary without an explanation is a wall. Read that again. When you tell someone, "I cannot help you this weekend because I have a lot of work, and my dog is sick, and I am really tired," you have just handed them 3 negotiation points. They will say, "Oh, the work can wait. I know a vet. And you can sleep later." You are trapped. You built a fence out of paper. Now observe the Stoic approach. "I am unavailable this weekend." Full stop. Silence. The moment you add a "because," you weaken the boundary. Strong men are comfortable with the friction that silence creates. They do not rush to smooth over the awkwardness. Let the other person be uncomfortable. Let them wonder. Your availability, your time, and your energy belong to you. You are the sole proprietor of your life. Start issuing directives instead of drafting proposals. The subconscious signal of insecurity. Communication is mostly non-verbal and psychological. When you over-explain, you are broadcasting a massive, glaring signal of insecurity. It tells the listener, "I do not fully believe in my own decision, so I need you to validate it to make it real." People are predatory by nature. When they sense this insecurity, they will push harder. They will disrespect you more. Conversely, brevity signals immense confidence. Think of the men you respect the most. Do they babble? Do they write long paragraphs defending themselves in text messages? No. They speak in tight, concise sentences. They let their actions carry the weight. When you strip away the justifications, you force people to interact with the raw truth of your character. It is intimidating. It demands respect. Practice the art of the verbal period. Say your piece, place a period at the end of the sentence, and shut your mouth. The silence that follows is where your power grows. The anxiety loop of justification. Let us examine the internal damage over-explaining does to your emotional stability. When you constantly justify yourself, you keep your nervous system in a state of hyper-arousal. You are always scanning the environment for threats, wondering who will question you next, rehearsing arguments in the shower for conversations that may never happen. This is mental torture. It drains the energy you should be using to build your empire, improve your body, or cultivate your mind. Stoicism is about conserving energy for what is within your control. Other people's opinions are fundamentally outside your control. By refusing to explain yourself, you sever the anxiety loop. You take your mind back. The first few times you refuse to justify yourself, your heart will race. Your conditioning will scream at you to speak. Ride out that wave. Once the wave crashes, you will experience a profound, unshakable peace. You will realize that the sky did not fall just because someone misunderstood you. The difference between sharing and defending. Do not confuse a refusal to explain with total isolation. There is a profound difference between sharing your thoughts with a trusted ally and defending your existence to a critic. You share your mind with those who have earned the right to hear it. Your brother in arms, your loyal partner, your mentor. With them you exchange ideas. You explore the why together as equals. But this is a voluntary opening of the gates, not a forced breach. You do it from a position of security, not a position of fear. The rule is simple. If the inquiry comes from a place of genuine curiosity and mutual respect, share. If the inquiry comes from a place of entitlement, judgment, or an attempt to control, shut it down. The elite man is fiercely protective of his inner world. He treats his deepest motivations as classified intel, distributed only on a strict need-to-know basis. Most people do not need to know. Weaponizing the pause. One of the most devastatingly effective tools in the arsenal of emotional control is the pause. When someone fires a demanding question at you, "Why did you do it that way?" your instinct is to answer immediately. This is a sign of submission. Instead, hold eye contact. Breathe. Let 1 full second pass. Then 2. Let the silence stretch until it becomes physically heavy. In those few seconds, the dynamic completely flips. Their aggressive question suddenly hangs in the air, sounding foolish and desperate. You are demonstrating that you dictate the tempo of the interaction. You are not a reactive machine triggered by their words. Often in that silence, they will start explaining themselves, backtracking, or nervously filling the void. By doing absolutely nothing, you win. When you finally do speak, keep it brief and entirely unbothered. The pause is the ultimate filter between provocation and reaction. Master it, and you master the room. The fear of the villain role. Deep down, the reason you explain yourself is that you want to be the good guy in everyone's story. You want to be liked. You want to be perceived as fair, reasonable, and kind. But here is the brutal truth of the top 1%. You cannot achieve greatness, establish iron boundaries, or live a truly authentic life without becoming the villain in someone else's narrative. When you stop explaining yourself, people will call you arrogant. They will call you cold. They will say you have changed. Let them. Your desire to be universally liked is the collar around your neck. Take it off. A strong man is perfectly comfortable being misunderstood by weak people. He does not lose sleep over the distorted image others hold of him. Their perception is their burden, not yours. Reframe your mindset. Being called stubborn by someone who cannot control you is not an insult. It is a profound compliment. Wear their disapproval as a badge of honor. Dealing with the romantic trap. Nowhere is the trap of over-explaining more lethal than in romantic relationships. Men often mistakenly believe that absolute vulnerability and constant logical debriefing will make a woman feel secure. The opposite is true. When a man is constantly explaining his motives, analyzing his own behavior out loud, and begging for emotional validation, he destroys his masculine polarity. He becomes a peer, a girlfriend, or worse, a child seeking a mother's approval. Attraction thrives in the presence of solid, unshakable strength. If you make a decision for the relationship, stand by it. If she questions you, provide clarity, but never plead for her agreement. I decided this is the best route for us. I have got it handled. That is what creates safety. She does not want to see the blueprints of your anxiety. She wants to feel the structure of your confidence. Stop talking her out of being attracted to you. The professional arena. In business and career, the man who over-explains is the man who never reaches the top. Look at middle management. They send emails with 10 paragraphs of justifications. They CC everyone. They cover their tracks. They are terrified. Now look at the executive, the owner, the true leader. His emails are 3 sentences long. Do this. Change that. Proceed. He does not apologize for taking up space. He does not justify his commands. If a mistake is made, he owns it plainly, without a sob story. My error. We pivot tomorrow. If you want to elevate your status, cut your word count in half. When you pitch an idea, state the value and stop talking. He who speaks next loses. In negotiations, silence is a weapon of mass destruction. When you offer a price or a term, do not immediately justify why it is fair. State the number and look them in the eye. Let your silence convey that your terms are absolute. Reframing guilt and duty. You feel guilty when you do not explain yourself because society has confused submission with politeness. You believe you owe people an explanation as a basic courtesy. Let us redefine your duties. Your primary duty is to your purpose, your peace of mind, and your core values. You do not owe anyone a window into your soul just because they knocked. Guilt is an emotion designed to keep you aligned with the tribe's expectations. But if the tribe is mediocre, anxious, and weak, why would you want to align with them? The Stoic evaluates his actions against his own internal compass, not the applause or boos of the crowd. If you know you acted with integrity, the case is closed. You do not need to present evidence to a jury of your inferiors. Shake off the false guilt. Realize that withholding your explanations is not an act of cruelty. It is an act of profound self-preservation. The silent pivot. There will be times when you change your mind. You will start a project and realize it is flawed. You will commit to a path and then decide to turn back. Weak men feel the need to issue a press release to everyone they know, explaining exactly why they changed direction. They fear being seen as inconsistent, so they write long posts, make long speeches, and seek validation for their pivot. The elite man executes the silent pivot. He simply stops doing the old thing and starts doing the new thing. He does not announce it. He does not justify the wasted time. He simply adapts to the new reality and moves forward. If someone asks, "I thought you were doing the other thing," He replies, I changed course. No defense, no grand philosophy, just raw, unapologetic action. Flexibility is a sign of intelligence, but over-explaining your flexibility is a sign of weakness. Apology versus justification. Stoicism is not about being flawless or refusing to admit fault. When a strong man makes a genuine mistake, he apologizes. But there is a massive difference between an elite apology and a weak justification. A weak man says, I am sorry I was late, traffic was terrible, my alarm did not go off, and I had a really bad morning. He is begging for pity. He is trying to dilute his responsibility with excuses. The strong man says, I am late, I apologize. Let us begin. He takes 100% of the impact. He offers no padding. By refusing to justify the failure, he paradoxically commands immense respect. People see a man who can carry the weight of his own actions without buckling. Never ruin a good apology with a bad excuse. State the error, own the consequence, and immediately pivot to the solution. That is how iron character is forged. The energy vampire defense. There is a specific archetype of person you must watch out for: the energy vampire. They use questions as a mechanism to drain you. They will play devil's advocate with your life choices. They will ask why over and over again, feigning ignorance, just to watch you spin your wheels. They feed on your frustration and your earnest desire to be understood. You cannot defeat an energy vampire with logic. The more you feed them, the more they consume. The only defense is absolute starvation. When you encounter this dynamic, offer a blank stare and a non-answer. It is just what I decided. I am not going to get into it. Then physically remove your attention. Look away. Change the subject. Watch how quickly they deflate when they realize they cannot hack into your energy reserves. Your attention is a privilege. Stop handing it out to emotional parasites. The physicality of silence. Your mind and body are entirely connected. Pay attention to your physical posture the next time you catch yourself over-explaining. You will notice that your shoulders roll forward, your breathing becomes shallow, your voice goes up half an octave. You are physically making yourself smaller to appease the predator. Now, practice the physicality of silence. When a challenging question is asked, pull your shoulders back. Take a slow, deep breath into your stomach. Drop your chin slightly. Ground your feet. Feel the solid earth beneath you. Let the silence settle in your bones before you speak. By controlling your physiology, you send a signal to your brain that you are safe, that you are the apex predator in the room. This physical grounding makes it 10 times easier to resist the urge to babble. True power is heavy, still, and grounded. Embody it physically first, and the mental restraint will follow. The burden of proof. In law, the burden of proof lies with the prosecution. In the court of daily life, people constantly try to shift the burden of proof onto you. They make an assumption, throw it at you, and expect you to disprove it. You seem really lazy lately, why aren't you working harder? If you start listing all your projects, you have accepted the burden of proof. You have validated their premise. The Stoic flips the script. He refuses to pick up the burden. Instead of defending yourself, turn the mirror back on them. What makes you say that? Or simply, that is an interesting assumption. Force them to carry the weight of their own words. Make them explain their judgment. 9 times out of 10, their argument will collapse under its own weight because it was based on nothing but a desire to provoke you. Never defend yourself against an unproven charge. Let their words fall flat. Protecting your goals. One of the most destructive habits of the modern man is over-explaining his ambitions. You have a massive goal. You want to build a business, transform your physique, or master a new discipline. The weak impulse is to tell everyone. You explain your roadmap. You justify why it will work. You seek their encouragement. But talking about the goal releases the same dopamine as achieving the goal. You trick your brain into feeling successful without doing any of the work. Furthermore, when you explain your goals to average people, they will project their own failures onto you. They will tell you why it is impossible. Protect your ambitions with a wall of absolute silence. Work in the dark. Let your results be the only explanation you ever give. When you suddenly arrive at the top and they ask how you did it, just smile. The sweat, the late nights, the discipline. That is your private property. The transition phase. If you have spent your whole life being a people pleaser, stopping this habit will be brutally uncomfortable. You will enter a transition phase. The first time you refuse to explain a boundary, the silence will feel deafening. The other person might get angry. They might accuse you of being rude. Your internal alarms will ring, urging you to apologize and smooth things over. You must hold the line. This is the crucible where self-respect is forged. The friction you feel is the death of your old, weak self. It is the growing pains of a stoic mind. Expect pushback. The people who benefited from your lack of boundaries will be the most upset when you install them. Let them be upset. Their anger is proof that the boundary was desperately needed. Survive the transition phase. Do not break. The storm will pass, and on the other side you will find a level of respect you never thought possible. The arrival at true self-respect. When you finally sever the cord of justification, you arrive at a state of profound psychological freedom. You no longer walk into a room wondering what people think of you. You no longer replay conversations in your head, wishing you had said something differently to make them understand. Your mind becomes quiet, sharp, focused. You realize that your value is inherent, not granted by a committee. You move through the world as a sovereign entity. This is the ultimate goal of modern Stoicism. It is not about turning off your emotions. It is about taking absolute ownership of your reality. You act, and you let the universe deal with the consequences. You become the immovable object. The 1%. The man who needs no introduction, no defense, and no explanation. You step into your quiet power, and the world steps aside to let you pass. This brings us to the ultimate realization. Your words are a finite, precious resource. Every time you throw them away to defend a choice that needs no defense, you are bleeding out your masculine power. The world will constantly test you. People will probe your boundaries, demand your reasons, and try to drag you into the mud of endless negotiation. You now possess the blueprint to step out of that trap forever. Silence is not empty. It is full of answers. It is the heavy armor of the elite mind. From this moment forward, let your actions speak with such deafening volume that your words become unnecessary. Stop asking for permission to be exactly who you are. Thank you for joining the minority of men who are ready to do the hard work of mental dominance. If this resonated with your core, forge that discipline daily. Now, I have one question for you to answer in the comments below. In what specific area of your life will you stop explaining yourself starting today? State it. Commit to it. and never justify it again.